Well, good morning. Orlando Sanchez here, and as you can tell, I'm sitting alone in the studio. Andrea Gomez, my co-host, is on assignment and so not able to be here today. So we're going to do the best we can all by myself. I was telling Mark I feel a little lonely over here, but we'll get through. And I would suggest if you want to participate and kind of fill in for Andrea's absence, that you call in. We're going to try to get some folks on the program today. So here's the phone number if you want to call in and make a comment. Keep it clean, keep it appropriate. This is a G-rated program. The call-in number is 281-833-3333. And I believe that phone number appears in the bottom left of your screen. So it's 281-833-3333. And we welcome your comments, observations. A lot of things going on in Texas. Obviously, many people that are political junkies are riveted on watching the Senate and the Senate chambers at the Texas House in Austin, which is the hearing after our Attorney General Ken Paxton has been impeached by the Texas House of Representatives. As you know, that rolls over into the Senate, where the president of the Senate, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, is serving as the judge. And I think we're wrapping up the hearings this week. I think that's what Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick instructed the attorneys for both sides. And so it's interesting television. If you haven't watched it, I think you can tune in to the Senate live shots that are being made available to the public through probably senate.gov, I'm sure. So Anyway, again, we want to hear from you. This is your opportunity to comment either on the hearings or what's happening politically. Great news. Kira Sanchez, the sitting elected official in Kleberg County, Texas, yesterday or the day before, flipped from Democrat to the Republican Party. This is nothing new in Texas. A lot of Latinos, a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Tejanos are switching from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party because they feel more welcome. They feel like their values are more aligned with the conservative movement in the state of Texas. And as we all know, the Republican Party is a big operation. It's a big party. We have many folks in the Republican Party from the far right, just like the Democrats have the far left, the extremists, to middle of the road, to more liberal Republicans. But as Ronald Reagan used to say in the 80s, we're a big tent. And we want everybody in the Republican Party, in the conservative movement, regardless of your political views. But if you believe in limited government and low taxation and the Constitution and living by the enumerated powers offered to the Congress by the Constitution, and if you believe that the states retain all powers not given to Congress, then you're a conservative. If you believe in limited powers, that means that the federal government gets to coin the money and set treaties with other countries and regulate commerce, and then everything else is left to the states. You're a conservative. And so we asked you to participate in the program today. 281-833-3333. 281-833-3333. That number's on the bottom left of your screen. I'd love to hear your comments on the hearings in the Senate and how's it going? What's your prediction? What will be the outcome? Today, we are fortunate, and speaking of Latinos, conservatives, leaving the Democratic Party and joining the Republican Party, we have a man that I have known for many decades. So he is an immigrant from the Dominican Republic. Came here, as many of us immigrants do, looking for an opportunity in the United States, and began working in the automotive industry. I met Julian Martinez. He was a wonderful mechanic and used to work on my BMWs and still does. And he's built quite an empire. If you're from Houston and you've ever heard of Beamer Automotive at the corner of Janetta and Richmond, that's Julian Martinez's business. He's gone from just repairing BMWs and German and foreign cars to now selling automobiles. I think his property now is in excess of over 5 acres. He's living the American dream. And what does Julian want to do? He's decided to throw his name into the ring, put his hat into the ring for mayor of Houston. And so I wanted to invite Julian on the program so that you folks get to hear firsthand how an immigrant comes to America with nothing, like I did, and becomes a successful business person, is able to put his 3 children through college. They now all work, the entire family works in the business, and has succeeded in America. And it's an interesting story, and so I wanted to bring Julian in to talk about that and share his experiences in the United States as an immigrant, now as a patriot, and more importantly, now as a candidate for mayor of the city of Houston. So, Julian, bienvenido al programa. Muchas gracias por acompañarlos. ¿Cómo te va?
Bien, gracias por invitarme, Mr. Sánchez. Para mí es un placer y un orgullo siempre conocerte a ti siempre, que no te envejece, siempre está igual.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Julian, I know that sometimes you struggle a little bit. Remind me a lot about my father when my father immigrated from Cuba. His English wasn't the very best, so feel free to go between English and Spanish. If you forget a word in English, you can say it in Spanish. Our audience is mostly, Hispanic and English speakers, but we'll get by. So, first of all, tell us your story. How did you get to America? How did you get in the business you're in? And how did you build an empire of repairing and selling now luxury cars here in Houston?
En español?
English or Spanish, whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, okay, well, as growing up in Dominican Republic, my father was a businessman and he also had a store, a fish store in the country. So I always dreamed to be a businessman myself. And every time I see an airplane flying overhead, I say one day I'm gonna get on top of the plane and I'm gonna go to the United States. So my father immigrated in '65 after the revolution, and then in '72 I came in legally with green card to New York. In New York, the first day that I came to New York, right away my dad got me a part-time job at 16 years old. Since I usually worked with my father business before growing up, so to me work it was kind of having fun. So I worked very hard in New York. I went to high school, very, like you said, very mediocre high school, because back then there was not bilingual teachers. You go to school, you just sit and you look at the teacher. So I took everything that I could with my hand, and I graduated. I think they gave me the diploma. But anyway, so then I decided to myself, well, I do not have a good high school diploma. So why not use my hand? So I decided to go to trade school. So I went to trade school for 2 years. And after that, I continued working. I continued working my full-time job at the hospital cleaning. I went to school, and then I graduated, and then I landed a job with BMW in New York. So in '78, my wife wanted me to move from New York. So we did. My father tell me that I should come to Houston. I said, my father, why? Because Houston's a good place to start a family. So anyway, so I did not listen to my father. I went to Florida instead for 6 months. But anyway, 6 months later, I came to Houston, and believe me, it was like I feel like in heaven when I came to Houston. The same day I came in, I got a job as a technician. In 1980, right away, I bought my from home. I still have it. And then my dream was to have my own business. So in 1985, I opened up a shop by myself. And then slowly but surely, I keep adding customer. Now, 38 years later, I have a big company, and I hire a lot of employees. And at the same time, my employee has a lot of benefit, 401k and everything, because I want to give my employee the best. So because Houstonian been so good to me, I said, you know what, Julian? You have everything you're looking for and more. Why don't you do something for the city level? Since all my family that follow me into Texas, they're all doing very well from middle class to upper class. I said, you know what? Since I've been a leader for them, why not be a leader for Houston? So I decide to run for mayor, because a mayor is not somebody that been in politics, but somebody that care for people and that want the best for the people. So that's why I decided to become a mayor, because it's in my heart. I think being a mayor is like a manager. I'm going to manage the city employee and the city money, because in my business, everybody knows that you have to manage your business very well. To be in business for 38 years is something that it takes challenge, but we be persevering and always dream ahead. Anything is possible.
Julian, you know what's interesting is it reminds me of my story. As you know, I came to the United States in 1962, also with a green card, fleeing communism and socialism after the Cuban Revolution. And so many of our immigrant community, particularly our Latino community, have the same experience because, as you know, whether it's the Dominican Republic or whether it's Nicaragua or whether it's Guatemala or whether it's Venezuela or whether it's Cuba, there's a lot of political instability in our native countries, unfortunately. And so people look for better opportunities for their families, like my father did, like your father did. And yes, we had challenges. I remember, and you remind me of when I started school in Houston as a kindergarten student. I did not speak English, and it was tough for me. But I persevered. We didn't have bilingual education in those days. But it's amazing to me, Juliana. I always tell people, this is the greatest country in the world where immigrants like you and me can come and get an education or at least have an opportunity to succeed in business and do in fact succeed, and then have the opportunity to have our names on the ballot to run for mayor. As you know, you and I met many, many, many years ago, decades ago, and you knew me when I was running for mayor as a sitting city council member of the city of Houston. And now, here, 30 years later, you're now running for mayor of the city of Houston. I remind people all the time, Julian, that only happens in America because no one from the United States would ever have an opportunity to run for mayor of a Latin American country, wouldn't get elected, uh, probably wouldn't even get on the ballot. Share with us why you believe that this is, in fact, the greatest country in the world.
Oh, definitely. When I came to this country, I mean, the people, the air, I can feel in the air how good it was to be in my wife and I, we talked about it before. It was, wow, we came to this country and they receive us like they knew each already, without passion and compassion to us. And and even in high school, people see me that I didn't speak English and they try to help me. They try to get me to the room so that I couldn't find the room where I was supposed to go to class on it. So it was a challenge, but I knew that eventually my dream was, actually, I didn't know what I was going to be. All I knew, I was going to be somebody important, but I didn't know it yet. I didn't even know that I was going to be that I was going to have a large business. Because myself, I live one day at a time, and because this country, it gives you so much opportunity, especially if you keep your credit excellent. Because the main thing for people, for business people, you have to keep your credit clean, because you need credit to be in business. So eventually, I start putting all the chips together. I said, you know what? One day I'm going to be good. But I never thought in my wild life that I'm going to be here thinking about to be a mayor. I mean, every time I go home, I see the pothole, I see the water flow the same way. I say, you know what? I'm tired of people promising the same thing every 4 years and they forget about it. Myself, I'm not looking for money. I just want to leave a good legacy to my grandchildren, because I want my grandchildren to see, you know what, my grandfather, he tried to do the right thing for the city and he succeed. So that's what I'm looking forward when I become your mayor of Houston.
Julian, I'm assuming that, as you know, there are many, many people on the ballot. How many people are running for mayor? Like 18?
17 people, and check this out. Uh, last weekend I was working. I work 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. So I got a phone call from this person. I said, "Hey, Julian, you're not here at City Hall. They're gonna do the lotto." I said, "What's the lotto?" I said, "No, they're gonna pick the number, the name from the hat to see who's gonna be number one." He said, you are number one." I said, "I know I'm number one with Jesus." He said, "No, for sure, you're number one in the valley." So I think God already answered that prayer. So now the people need to get along and elect me now.
So, what Julian is talking to or about is that once the filing deadline for candidates on the ballot has passed, at City Hall, they will draw numbers for the order in which you will appear on the ballot. And obviously, Julian didn't attend because he's a businessman and working, unlike other folks. And lo and behold, he finds out he is number one on the ballot. Is that correct?
That's correct. And you know what? I'm nobody, compared to Sheila Jackson and we might they have a lot of I guess politics in this earth. But my power is in heaven. So even though if it was their way, they could have been one and two, but they had no control for that. So God chose me to be number one, and I intend to be your mayor, Houston.
Now, you talk about your family. Tell us about your family. Tell us about, obviously, you're successful, Julian, not because of your own initiative, but you had to have the support over the years of your family. So tell us a little bit about your family, your children. And did they go to college? And where did they go? And what are they doing now?
Well, my father, it was my mentor. My father, he never smoked, he never drink, he never went out with it. On the weekend, he was always home. So he was my model. I always hang out with my father. My father used to tell me, Julian, a human being is like a Christmas, it's like a tree. You need to find some fertile ground to plant yourself, and then you can have some fruit. My father was very hardworking man, and when he came to Houston, I said that, Dad, don't worry. When I open up a shop, we gonna work together. So, and when I opened up the shop in '85, he came and joined me in '86, and then after that, my I have four brothers and two sisters. They also joined me in the company, and they helped me also build the company up. But not only that, my father always said, everybody had to go to school. So all my brothers and sisters, they all went to high school than I did, and then my kid, because I have a lot of property and real estate property and business, so I paid a lot of taxes. But my kid belonged to Shoptown High School, so I said to myself, I'm going to uh, work hard and pay for my kid education, private school. So they went to private school from pre-K all the way to university. And not only that, Mr. Sanchez, I paid for their education all the way to university. When my kid graduated, they had no debt because I worked hard for them. And I, one of my sons, he graduated from UT Austin, engineer. He got a job with ExxonMobil, making $100,000 a year right from the back. And my other son for Texas A&M, engineer too. So I saw that that the only way for people to come out from the bottom is through education. So as a mayor, I'm gonna do all the possible part that I can do to encourage the parent to make sure they have the right school for the children. But that's the only way you can come out from the bottom. And then my son, 5 years later, I asked him, hey, you can come to my business now because I'm going to be 68 years, well, I was then 65 years old. I wanted you to come to my business and take over my business. So they came and joined me. So now we are working here. My father, I mean not my father, but my wife, my two sons, my daughter, my brother, my sister, and my nephew. And all my nephew, because they have somebody they can look up to, a good mentor. They all went to college. They all graduated. I have a PhD. I have an engineering. I have a business. I mean, we're 19 nephews. They all living the American dream. They all middle class people with the good jobs.
That's a great story. I mean, no place but America can immigrants get off the boat and their progeny, their children, be successful. It reminds me of my story. Neither of my parents had college degrees, and I had the opportunity to graduate from the University of Houston after serving in the United States Air Force. Learned the language, got involved in politics, became an elected official, and my daughter attended good schools, went to great colleges and universities, and again, only in America do immigrants realize those just dreams because we have opportunity, not because we have handouts from the government, right, Julian? Because of our own initiative, that we work hard for what we have, and we've passed our values down to our children and to our grandchildren. Is that the way it is in the Dominican family?
That's how it is. My father came in '65, and he brought six kids with him in '72, and we never took any handout from the government. As a matter of fact, we used to live in one studio apartment in New York. That that in the morning it was a kitchen with one couch, and then you in the morning you just sit there, and then in the evening it become like a bed on the floor. So my father, he was so proud of himself that he never said any handout for the government. He said, no, we don't come here to take. We came here to bring the country better. That was my father's philosophy, and that's my philosophy too.
Julian, how do you respond to people that may say, Julian's a good businessman. He's done a great job raising kids and paying lots of taxes to the city of Houston and the state of Texas through your business, but Julian has no government experience. He's never been elected to anything. He's never overseen multi-million dollar budgets for a municipality and run a water treatment system and a sewer treatment plant and made sure that we had storm sewers and sanitary sewers. He's never run a police department or a fire department, parks department, libraries. What do you tell the people that are critical of the fact that you have no political or government experience?
Well, that's a good question, Orlando. Listen, our current mayor, he had 12 years in the Senate, and now 8 years in Houston. Are we better off now than before? You see, the notion that you have to be in politics to know what's going on is ludicrous. People with common sense, like me, I built a multi-million-dollar company because not because I had the money in the bank, because I have a vision. In order to be a mayor, in order to have a business, you have to have a vision and how to get to the vision. Because faith alone doesn't work. You have to faith and you have to do it. So the notion that you have to be in politics to know what's going on, that's wrong. I think we have some good people here that have the knowledge from God first. And once you in the job, you see what's going on and you make adjustment because as a matter of fact, when I become the mayor of Houston, I'm gonna have people around me that that's gonna advise me what to do, but I'm gonna make the decision based on my knowledge because I am a good administrator. I can tell you I'm a good salesman and and also I'm a good businessman because I need to balance my budget in my business. So basically, that's why this country or the city is so in bad shape because politicians they know how to make money for them and to do uh, side job deal or do deal by themselves. But when I become your mayor, it's not going to be backroom deal. I'm going to be transparent with the people, and I'm going to have everyone sit on the table to make sure what's the best to do for the community of Houston.
All right. For anyone that has a question for Julian, candidate for mayor of the city of Houston, or wants to make an observation about the political environment in the state of Texas and what's going on in Austin, you're certainly welcome to join the program. 281 833 3333. 281 833 3333. That number's on the bottom left of your screen. Now, Julian, I want to talk to you a little bit about, let's get down into the weeds, as they say, about politics. As you know, about 43% of the city of Houston's population, if you have an ethnic breakdown or by nationality, uh, are Latinos, Hispanics, whatever you want to call them. The bulk of them Mexican Americans, but increasingly more people from all over Latin America: Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador. It used to be a lot of Mexican nationals and still are, but it's expanding. We're an international city. But as you know, Julian, despite the fact that we're about 43% of the population of the city of Houston, as they say in Spanish, somos muy flojos para votar. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that the Hispanic community isn't getting out and voting in its potential strength that it has?
Well, I think that I went online and they say we are 52% Latino in Houston. The problem is we come here to work and we work two jobs and we just don't get involved in politics. And then you know what and then we only get involved when something happened to us personally. So I think that if we get together, we all have good moral value. We are conservative by race, so we need to find a way to sign up and register to vote because if we can vote, we can change the landscape of the city or the state in this great country, because we're going to be a majority for pretty soon coming up. And so we're going to have responsibility to make sure that we are conservative, compassionate with the people that we serve.
Julian, if you were mayor today, let's say you were inaugurated tomorrow, the election were today, you win the election, tomorrow you're sworn in as mayor of the fourth largest city in the United States. What are the first three things you would do in Houston?
Well, first of all, I will get together with the leader of the department. Number one. Number two, first of all, I will invite other pastors to clean the city, to put holy water there, because the city's been running by hyenas, destroying us. So, so that was number two. Number three, I will first not going to change anything right away. I'm going to assess the department to see what they are doing, keeping what they're doing good, and what doesn't work, scratch it. So that's what I will do first. I will get together with the leader, head department, and with the chief, with the police chief, and see what is the best course of action to manage the city properly.
Do you think we have enough police officers in Houston? And if you don't believe we have enough law enforcement, how would you, given the city's budget troubles, increase the number of police officers serving the citizens of Houston any given day?
Well, I mean, right now, according to the data that I saw, we have 5,600 police on staff and 1,200 assistant police. I divided by 1.8 million people. That's 320 police, 300, 300 people per police. I think the problem is not policemen. I think the problem is deterrent. And I heard that I heard that only about 50 to 60% of policemen down the street. So what I proposed was to make sure we get 90% of the police on the street, but find out where's the hotspot. It's like when you fight a war, put the police in the hotspot. Now, this is what I believe. Policing more is not going to bring crime down. They contain crime or they can report crime. The only way we can stop crime is like Ephesians 6:12 says, that we're not fighting with flesh and blood. We fight it with that demonic legion in the air. So the notion of crime is something that is a spiritual crime, because somebody that get up and get that goes at night 3:30 in the morning and break a house, or break a car, that person has a demon inside. It's no way, you should be in bed sleeping, but because we allow them, Satan, to control the city. The only way crime will go down with having somebody God-fearing person in the office, somebody believing family values, and then crime will come down. And the police, yes, they can contain and report the crime, but crime by putting my policeman, I think, is not the answer.
Estamos hablando con Julian Martinez, candidato para la ciudad de Houston, alcalde de la ciudad de Houston. Él inmigró como inmigrante de la República Dominicana con su papá, llegaron a Nueva York y Julian vino a Houston y empezó un taller de reparaciones de automóviles. Ahora no solamente reparan automóviles de lujo, pero también tienen ventas, ha tenido mucho éxito, su familia, todos exitosos, los ayudan en la empresa, los hijos trabajan con él, la hija, la señora, y todos los hijos han ido a la universidad, como comentó Julián, uno se graduó de la Universidad de Texas, el otro de Texas A&M, son ingenieros y ahora trabajan con papá. Y ha montado un negocio muy exitoso en la esquina de Genera y Richmond, aquí en la ciudad de Houston. Y ha tenido mucho éxito como inmigrante, como latino, y ha decidido hacer una contribución, como hacemos todos los latinos en este país, y se ha lanzado para alcalde de la ciudad de Houston. ¿Hay cuántos? ¿18 candidatos, me dijiste?
17.
17 candidatos. Lo bueno es que en la lotería, a ver en qué posición aparecen los candidatos, Julián sacó el número 1, así que cuando vayan a votar van a ver el nombre Julián Martínez. Sacó la primera posición y es el primero que sale. Esto, te voy a decir que estamos sumamente orgullosos de ti, pero no solamente de ti, sino de toda la comunidad latina que participa en el proceso político. Uno no tiene que lanzarse para un cargo gubernamental para hacer una contribución en este país y en esta comunidad. Lo más importante que puede hacer el latino, el inmigrante, es inscribirse y votar, salir a votar, porque como estamos comentando, Julián y yo, que a pesar que somos la mayoría de la población de la ciudad de Houston, lamentablemente no tenemos representación en el concilio de la ciudad de Houston. Nunca hemos tenido alcalde. Ahora tenemos nada más que un concejal que es hispano, el señor Roberto Gallegos, que también se ha lanzado para alcalde. Lo bueno es que hay muchos latinos ahora que se han lanzado para posiciones municipales. Muchos de ellos, como Julián, inmigrantes conservadores. Y como ya comenté, el Partido Republicano está embullando a muchos hispanos que participen en el proceso político y en el Partido Republicano, porque nosotros, como ha comentado Julián, los valores de nosotros son valores conservadores. Esto, apoyamos a la policía, apoyamos a la Constitución, apoyamos a la libertad. No queremos limnosas del gobierno, queremos la oportunidad de trabajar y lanzar una empresa como ha hecho Julián, que se ha hecho multimillonario aquí en Houston, pero también paga muchos impuestos. Y quiero comentarte, Julián, que tú no eres el único dominicano famoso en el estado de Texas. Claro que aquí en Houston eres el mero mero, como dicen mis amigos mexicanos, ¿no? Pero
Sí,
quiero
sí.
comentarte que nuestros vecinos al oeste, en San Antonio, en el condado de Bejar, que le decimos Bexar County, eh, hay otra dominicana que ha lanzado una carrera para un cargo público. Y le voy a pedir a Mark que ponga la foto de la dominicana, tu paisana, que se lanza para
Mira para allá.
comisionar, para la posición de comisionado del condado de Bexar. Esta jovencita Lina Prado llegó a los Estados Unidos igual como Julián, con un sueño de mejorar su vida. Y estudió, fue a la universidad y se ha hecho ejecutiva de una de las compañías que fabrican aviones más grandes en el mundo. La compañía se llama Boeing, Boeing Aircraft. Y esto es veterana, mamá, esposa, ejecutiva y ahora se lanza para un cargo público como comisionada para el precinto número 1 en el condado de Bexar, que es San Antonio. Así que los dominicanos ahora están avanzando.
Era tiempo ya.
Yo estoy muy orgulloso de los caribeños que vienen aquí y hacen contribuciones, pero ¿qué te parece la candidatura de Lina Prado?
Perfecto. Eso es una bendición que, que, una, que una paisana también tenga el sueño de mejorar este país. Que eso es lo que nosotros debemos hacer. Este país, nosotros tenemos que poner lo mejor que lo encontramos. No coger, sino poner más para que vivamos mejor en tranquilidad.
Yeah, and I'll ask Mark to put up Lena's picture again because what I said in Spanish for our Spanish speaking audience. But let me just say that this is Lina Prado that you're looking at. And like she is a paisana, like Julian, who is from the Dominican Republic. Lina also was born in the Dominican Republic, immigrated to this country with her mother, had a dream of succeeding in the United States. She is a mom, she is a wife, she's an executive with the Boeing Corporation. Actually, was charged, as I understand with my conversations with Lena, because she is also a graduate of Leadership Latino. That is the classes that we put on across the state of Texas. And Mark's got a picture of our last class. These are young people from across the state of Texas that have an interest in serving their communities at any level of politics, whether it is a campaign manager, a press person, a precinct chairman, a fundraiser, or even a candidate. We train these folks, and several years ago, when we had our class in Bexar County, Lina Prado attended, and she told me, like Mayra Flores did in 2018, another Mexican immigrant that went on to be a U.S. Congresswoman, the first Mexican ever elected to the U.S. Congress, a naturalized U.S. citizen, of course. Lina had a vision, and her vision was to serve the residents of Bexar County. And she is now realized that dream, and so she is now a candidate for Precinct 1 Commissioner of Bexar County. She is a stellar human being, a stellar candidate. We're going to have her on the program, but I wanted to share that with you, Julian, because she too is from the Dominican Republic. Not only does la República Dominicana no solamente producen peloteros grandes, superestrellas en el béisbol, pero también personas que hacen contribuciones en este país. I mean, I was telling Julian that because we're all from the Caribbean, we not only produce excellent baseball players that, you know, like the Houston Astros. I mean, we have dozens of ball players that hail from the Caribbean, whether from Venezuela or Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic. And now we have them from El Salvador, my home country of Cuba. We help win national World Series championships, but we also have leaders in the business community like Julian, like Lina, who have decided that what they're seeing is not something they approve of. These are contrary, the policies that we're seeing, not only in our state, in our school districts, and emanating from Washington, D.C., are contrary to the values of the Latino community in this country. And so for me as an immigrant, I'm extremely proud of these people that step up and put their names on the ballot to represent their community and to better their community. So, again, we're going to have Lina on the program. But, Julian, ¿cómo invitamos a las personas que lo apoyen a usted? ¿Cómo la gente se puede comunicar con usted? ¿Cómo pueden involucrarse en la campaña suya?
Bueno, es bien fácil. Nosotros vamos a tener meet and greet aquí en el shop el sábado 16 de este mes, de 5:30 a 8:30. Aquí vamos a estar juntos para ver lo que yo he hecho en 38 años. Aquí está mi esposa que ha estado casada con ella por 45 años. Soy una persona que le teme al Señor y que vive para la gente, no es para Julián. Y yo quiero que ustedes me apoyen, que vengan de 5:30 a 8:30 al 9201 Richmond Avenue. Vamos a estar aquí para explicar más de la visión que yo tengo para la ciudad de Houston. Porque tengo algo grande para la ciudad de Houston. Yo tengo un corazón para la gente. Yo soy una persona que soy bien bondadosa. Yo tengo un orphanage en India, en Dominicana, en este país. Yo ayudo bastante gente. Porque el Señor a mí me ha dado tanto, Sánchez, que es justo dar para atrás. Yo tengo ese corazón para dar.
Y Julián, ¿tienes página de web? Si el público tiene interés en conocer más a Julián Martínez, ¿cómo te encuentran?
Sí, claro que sí. Pueden ir a www.jmartinez2024.com.
Repítelo una vez más.
www.jmartinez2024.com.
Ok, y dilo en inglés. www.jmartinez2024.com.
That you got it, yes.
That's Julian's website. If you're interested in learning more about Julian, he says that. ¿En qué fecha es el meet and greet?
Este sábado, 16 de septiembre.
This Saturday from 5:30 until 8 is a meet and greet. I'm sorry, 5:30?
Yeah, 5:30 to 8:30. We can have meet and greet, and we got some food also.
Okay, this Saturday, come by and say hello. Meet Julian Martinez, Julian as we call him in English, Martinez. You'll enjoy seeing some of his car collection. You'll see the amazing business that he has built at the corner of Janetta and Richmond Avenue. And he's out there spreading the word and getting more people involved in politics. So, Julian, siempre acabamos el programa porque Andrea Gómez, mi amiga que no está aquí hoy porque está trabajando, siempre dice en inglés call to action, una llamada a acción. ¿Qué le dices a la comunidad para que se involucren en la política? ¿Cómo te pueden apoyar? ¿Qué es lo que podemos hacer como comunidad? Y una pregunta que quiero hacerte antes que me hagas la respuesta a esa pregunta. Por curiosidad, ¿Univisión o Telemundo te ha entrevistado para informarle al público cuáles son los candidatos hispanos?
No, we contact them.
Y déjame decirte por qué te hago esa pregunta. Parte de la razón por cual el hispano en esta ciudad de Houston ha bajado de participación en el proceso político es porque no hay cobertura de la política en la ciudad de Houston. Y eso me da mucha pena. Que Univision, que tienen reporteros, Telemundo, que tienen reporteros, tienen cámaras, tienen un seguimiento bastante grande en la ciudad, no informan al público sobre los candidatos, las posiciones. Fuera, en mi opinión, esas noticias que un inmigrante como usted llega a este país, lanza una empresa, los hijos con mucho suceso, su negocio con mucho suceso, número 1 en la boleta para la votación en noviembre 7 y nadie de los medios hispanos ha entrevistado a Julian Martínez.
Bueno, lo que pasa es que los latinos no nos unimos. Los latinos tienen que ponerse la pila, como dicen. Y esos canales que no quieren que suba el candidato, que no lo miren, que le bajen de viewership. Así que se habla. Cuando le pica el bolsillo en la cartera, entonces ellos dan cuenta. Nosotros aquí somos mayoría en la ciudad de Houston. Mantenemos la emisora, la televisión, el budget de ellos. Si nosotros a ellos le hacemos lo mismo a ellos, entonces ellos van a venir a nosotros para que los repartemos. Es así, Orlando.
Bueno, así que para los que nos están viendo, por favor, marquen Telemundo, que es, los dueños son Universal, NBC, y a Univision para encenderle una llama abajo del asiento, como dicen en inglés, light a fire under them, para que empiecen a darle cobertura a los candidatos hispanos, que hay muchos en esta ciudad, para informar al público y para embullar al público para que participe en el proceso político. ¿Por qué yo siempre llamo la atención a esto? Julián, porque en el año 1995, cuando me eligieron a mí como el primer inmigrante latino en la ciudad de Houston, teníamos seis hispanos en el concilio de Houston. Teníamos a Silvia García, la Contralora, teníamos a John Castillo, teníamos a Orlando Sánchez, teníamos a Félix Fraga, teníamos a Gracie Sainz, teníamos una docena de hispanos. Y a pesar que el concilio lo han ampliado por 2 posiciones más porque el crecimiento de la población, nada más que tenemos un latino de un distrito en el municipio de la ciudad de Houston. Y eso es vergonzoso y es penoso. Y parte de la responsabilidad que tiene Univision y Telemundo es compartir con el público cómo participar en el proceso político y no lo hacen. Así que mis amigos en los medios que están viendo, fíjense, enfóquense, préstenle atención a los candidatos que están luchando para representar la voz latina conservadora en la ciudad de Houston. So, Julián, ¿qué acción puede tomar el público para apoyarte?
Well, the first thing they need to do, they need to register to vote, because a lot of people come into the shop, every day, and I ask them, I said, no, I can't vote. Why? I'm not registered. So they need to go out and register. And once they do that, then they can vote. That's the problem, Orlando, that we have. That's more Latin people. They stay in the sideline and they don't get involved. But we don't have to get involved, because if we don't get involved, we're always going to be in the bottom. So we need to tell our people, my people, your people, hey, one vote for Sheila Jackson and one vote from Julian is the same vote. It's the same value. Doesn't matter who it is. So it has the same value. So we need to tell the people, go out and register. And please register early. And then when you go vote, vote early. Don't wait for the last minute to vote.
Y ahora dilo en español. ¿Cómo pueden ayudarte los ciudadanos de la ciudad de Houston?
Primeramente yo quiero que ellos se registren para votar. Porque si no te registras no puedes votar. Y un voto tuyo, que eres bien simple, y un voto de Sheila Jackson o de cualquier persona que es importante, vale lo mismo. Tiene la misma cantidad, un voto. Primeramente, tienen que registrarse. Y cuando vayan a votar, voten temprano. No esperen el último día. Cuando votan temprano, pueden ir a cualquier oficina que hay máquina de votar y vota sin problema. Pero si espera al último día, tiene que ir asignado donde tú vives en la área. Y a veces hay una línea, a veces se rompe la máquina, no hay papeles. Así que vamos a parar las excusas que tenemos antes.
Bueno, es muy buena información. Ojalá que el público te pueda apoyar. Como dice Julián, es súper importante que todos en la comunidad se inscriban para votar. Como dice Julián, es mejor votar con anticipación que esperar el día de las elecciones, que es el día 7 de noviembre. Acuérdense que el periodo para inscribirse para votar aquí en los Estados Unidos, en la ciudad, usted se puede inscribir a votar hasta 30 días antes de la elección. Quiere decir que octubre, creo que 7 es el último día en cual usted se puede inscribir para votar en las elecciones de noviembre. Pueden hacerlo después de eso, pero no van a poder votar en las elecciones de noviembre. Sí van a poder votar en la segunda vuelta. Como hay tantos candidatos, casi nadie va a ganar en la primera vuelta. Así que bueno, dice Julián que sí. Ojalá que Julián gane, pero vamos a suponer, como es la historia, por ejemplo, yo cuando me lancé para la alcaldía, fui a la segunda vuelta 2 veces. Quiere decir, la segunda vuelta es en diciembre. Usted puede inscribirse, aunque no se inscriba 30 días antes de la elección general en noviembre, puede votar en la segunda vuelta, lo que le dicen en inglés el runoff. Así que lo importante es que se inscriban a votar. Y segundo, muchas personas están intimidadas para ir a votar. Julián, tú votas, ¿no? ¿Encuentras el proceso fácil o difícil?
Bien fácil, bien fácil. Ese, como dice en inglés, el piece of cake. Y cuando tú votas,
Okay.
te sientes orgulloso. Como tú votas.
Así que Julián dice Julián says that voting is easy as cake, and I agree with him. The importance is that you show up to vote. If you're over 65, you can request a ballot by mail. Si usted es mayor de 65 años de edad, puede pedir que le manden una boleta por correo. Así que la votación es fácil. Y si no entiende, cuando vaya a votar, hay personas que son bilingües que los van a ayudar. Cuando usted tiene preguntas, ¿cómo se opera esta máquina? ¿Qué se hace aquí? ¿Dónde entrego mi identificación? Todo eso. Pero es súper fácil. Y como dice Julián, es un orgullo poder participar porque cuando usted vota ya es parte, está integrado en la comunidad de la ciudad de Houston, el estado de Texas, el condado y en el gobierno norteamericano. Y es súper importante que los hispanos, todo el mundo, se inscriba a votar. So it's important that everybody go vote. As Julian said, voting is easy as pie, easy as cake, but you have to be registered. You got to register 30 days before the November 7th election. And even if you register after the 30-day period, you can still vote in the runoff. And the important thing is that you're a registered voter, and in the future you can vote city, county, state, and national elections. It's real easy. And if it's your first time, there will be election workers there that usually speak several languages, Vietnamese, Spanish, Mandarin. They'll be able to help you. So there's no excuse not to vote. We need everyone participating. Así que, Julián, te damos gracias sabemos que estás sumamente ocupado con tu taller, con tu negocio, pero has dedicado media hora, 40 minutos de tu día para informar al público sobre el proceso político. Te deseamos mucho éxito. Estamos orgullosos que te has lanzado para alcalde de la ciudad de Houston y te invitamos otra vez en el futuro para que nos des un breve comentario sobre cómo va la campaña y ojalá que todo el mundo venga a verte a la esquina de Genera y Richmond este sábado a partir de las 5:30 de la tarde para conocer a Julián y escuchar cuáles son los temas importantes para su campaña para alcalde de la ciudad de Houston. Again, this Saturday at Genera in Richmond, Julian is hosting a meet and greet. If you want to meet Julian, you want to take a picture with him, you want to hear about his issues, please show up. And you never know, you might walk out with a BMW. So
You never know.
you never know. Así que thank you everybody for tuning in. Julian, thank you for your time. We want to wish you the very best. And as I say to everyone, we do these programs based on the generosity and the contributions of Texans across the state of Texas. So if you want to keep TLC live on the air and help Texas Latino conservatives. And let me just tell you, there are great things going on across the state of Texas. Not only did Kira Sanchez convert from being a Democrat down in Cleburne County to being a Republican, not only do we have Julian Martinez, an immigrant from the Dominican Republic, running as a conservative for mayor of the city of Houston, not only do we have Lina Prado, another Dominican immigrant to the city of San Antonio, also running for County Commissioner Precinct 1 in Bexar County. There are great things happening. Cassie Garcia, Monica de la Cruz, who was elected to the U.S. Congress, Mayra Flores, Michelle Gamboa, City Councilwoman in Longview, Texas, Roman Garcia, council member in Kerrville, Texas, Dan Corrales, a council member in Midland, Texas. We are racking up the stars. Mano de Ayala, the son of Cuban immigrants, elected to the Texas House of Representatives. And we cannot forget John Lujan in South Bexar County, state representative. In a Democrat district, a conservative Republican gets elected in Bexar County. We want to thank the Bexar County voters that turned out to support State Representative John Lujan. Not only did he win in a special election, but he was reelected. And so phenomenal things are happening. But none of that is cheap. It's certainly not free. And so that's why we ask you to go to our website, TexasLatinoConservatives.com, and click on the donate button. You can donate $1. You can donate $5, $500, or $50,000. Every hard-earned dollar that you donate will be greatly appreciated and applied to building the farm team of young conservative leaders in the state of Texas. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless, and we'll see you all next